Well. Let this Wednesday be a reminder that every sunrise brings new opportunities. Seize them with enthusiasm. Rise and shine. Embrace this beautiful Wednesday morning with a heart full of gratitude and a mind full of possibilities.
Got into you this morning.
I don't
This
know.
inspirational Wednesday message is a courtesy of the unemployed uranium enrichment team of Iran.
Oh.
I'll be happy to send them a pack of camels on this hump day.
Oh my gosh.
And they won't even have to walk a mile for a couple humps on a camel. On this, the 25th of June
Go
in
so many places
1950,
with this.
I went out all of them. On the 25th of June back in 1950, when I was just a bit over 2 years of age, North Korea launched an attack across the 38th parallel into South Korea. The UN Security Council, minus the Soviet delegate, go figure, passed a resolution calling on UN members to assist South Korea. The police action was not a war, they call it a war, concluded with an armistice 3 years later. Nobody won, nobody lost, what they call a truce. So without any other paperwork hanging around out there, I guess we're still at war. We just haven't shot anyone lately. Got another stumper for you. All right.
Go with it.
Both of you should this word.
All right.
I did not. Today is World Vitiglio Day.
Yep.
It's a day observed by, among others, the Society of Dermatology Nurse Practitioners.
Mm-hmm.
Vitiligo, whatever it is a skin condition characterized by the loss of pigment in certain areas of the body, resulting in white or light patches.
Yes.
This is a World Day for it. Those suffering can also lose the color in their hair.
What? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know somebody has it.
Yep.
So, okay. So, are y'all learning something? I'm here to teach.
I didn't know
For
they
me,
had a
that's
day.
called
But
Yeah, it
great.
has this day, and it is the Society of Dermatology Nurse Practitioners.
Mhm.
What was the
Where?
name? What was that word again?
Vertiglio.
It sounded almost like an escort service.
No, it's a skin condition, and
How
where
would you know what an
um,
escort service sounds like?
Isn't there something like gig? What is it? Kind of gig?
Gigolo?
she forgot where she used to work. That's what it is. So she can't remember the
It
name
is
of
called gigolo, is what you're looking for.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
You're
where-
thinking of a gigolo.
I need to
That's
tune my
that's where
hips.
an
That's a
older
male
lady is
escort.
looking for a young
Need to
dude.
tune
Yeah,
up here.
that's a male escort.
Good morning, I'm Rayford Brown.
I'm Kelly Knapp.
And I'm Lee Barrows. Oh my gosh.
I got to have some kind of fun somehow or another.
I-
Might want to get on with some informing part of the show today. Nearing the end of the 24th day of the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season, we had the first named storm to form up. Tropical storm Andrea came to life several hundred miles northeast of Bermuda and began a short trip to the North Atlantic, slowly fading from the maps as she made her way across. Last night, Andrea was packing
Bye.
winds of 35 knots, about 40 miles per hour, and was zipping northeastward at 20 miles per hour. The young lady is fading into a short-lived very quickly.
Bye bye, Andrea.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.
It's one of the fastest formed and just done away with
I
named storms that I can recall.
oh no, the next one's Barry, so watch out.
No other storms on the horizon to discuss, though
Yeah.
NOAA is still predicting an above normal
They
hurricane
say
season.
that every year.
Yeah, they do. They cover their
Yeah.
bases, don't they?
Yeah.
That way, if there's anything less than
You
if they came in and predicted low and it came in higher, then they were really wrong. We don't care if they think about it. If they fail to tell us something that might not even happen, but it does, and then they fail to tell us, and it does happen, and they predicted it was not going on. That's when
well,
everything gets bad.
that's why I tell you, if I had a chance to redo my career,
You got
it would be a
time.
meteorologist because you're never wrong.
Not when it comes to your paycheck.
Not when it
You
comes to
really,
weather.
you really got to screw up. You got to do bad things to be able to not have a job come contract renewal time. Okay, anyone
All
with
right.
any real knowledge, y'all need to come clean. I want some real answers to some questions, some dilemmas that I'm facing. Some in Congress have claimed that they heard maybe they read it on the internet, that Iran had moved all of the uranium
Here we go.
product,
Mhm.
and those centrifuges needed to enrich the uranium to a safe place, meaning that the U.S. wasted a lot of money with the airstrikes. So now we got the naysayers, right?
Just don't say that in front of Trump, because he went off yesterday like nobody's business.
Oh, yeah. Iran quickly agreed to a ceasefire with Israel right after the airstrikes. Now, help me understand, if they still had their uranium and it was enriched, or if they had their centrifuges so they could enrich it, 900 pounds of it, why would they immediately agree to a ceasefire?
Look, there's so much about all of this that I just like. I will say last night no missiles were fired, so.
They probably ran out, got to reload. Israel and Iran have both fired missiles at each other since the ceasefire was announced, perhaps before it was supposed to begin. Kelly, y'all need to explain English to me and the rules of fighting and whatever. If two people, two parties, two countries, they agree to stop shooting at each other.
Mm-hmm.
But
why do they? We got another big mosquito in here. I tried to kill him earlier.
Why are you looking at me?
But if they agree to a ceasefire, why should that not take place right now?
I would think so.
I agree. Yeah, we talked
6
about this
hours.
yesterday.
Just help me.
Okay, so I'm still confused.
I saw him.
Okay, because he said after the time, like it's like they
6
picked up, 6
You
p.m.
got
or
6
whatever the time
hours.
was. So I'm confused about why everybody's in an uproar when Trump's bombing it on TV and all kinds of stuff. And
why should you give them 6
that's what I'm saying.
hours?
But my confusion lies in the fact that he's mad that they started just barraging each other supposedly with
Israel
bombs.
started it.
But
I don't get it.
But you can argue if he said after the ceasefire is going to take place at 7 a.m.
Right.
and it was announced at midnight.
Yeah.
So in my mind, if it's going to take place at 7 a.m., you've got from midnight to 7 a.m. to fire at each other. Like, why not just say effective immediately?
To me, it's a whole lot like courts.
Yeah.
A lot of courts these days say, okay, you're guilty. The jury has found you guilty. Come back in 6 months and we're going to sentence you.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, you should be immediately. I agree with that.
Ridiculous.
No. Take you out back, hang it.
But why be mad about it if the ceasefire was not supposed to take effect until X time, whatever the time was?
That's right.
Why is everybody all in uproar?
Y'all see
that
why
they
I'm
bombed the mess out of each
Y'all
other.
understand why I've got these questions, right?
Well, Israel's like, well, we've got a couple more hours left before we have the ceasefire.
Correct.
Let's just throw them one more.
We got some extra.
And then Iran said, oh.
Okay.
And
when you fired at us, we're going to fire back at you.
Yeah.
Was it an enticement? Was it trying to say, okay, we've launched these things just before the deadline,
But that's
and
what I'm
now
saying.
we got some sneaky ones in extra.
If the deadline was for a specific time, which it appears it was, they didn't do in reality anything wrong by firing at each other prior to the deadline. It's only after the deadline that is breaking the ceasefire.
Yeah.
I mean, words are words. Well, that's why words matter.
Trump unloaded on both Israel and Iran.
Oh, that wasn't all he unloaded on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
After we
people are
risked a
furious.
lot of American lives and equipment, plus billions and billions in real dollars to blow up targets that Israel could not even touch, moving both countries into a ceasefire, encouraging them, then both decided that they would continue bickering with their missiles like a couple of stupid kids on the playground. What's with that? Huh? Isn't it time that somebody becomes an adult? I gained a bit of respect for Trump, this one. But Israel, I don't think they should be counting on a lot of support in the future. I think some of that boat may have already sailed. I got another question. Why are there 27,000 Americans inside Israel living of their own free will, living as permanent residents?
What's their
And
tax base?
why are they now panicking and wanting to come back to the U.S.? How long has this exchange of bombs and missiles and gunfire and raids into Gaza been going on?
Well, this 12 days.
3
Quite
years.
a long
For the
time.
other.
Yeah.
But the Hamas thing,
Yeah.
but Hamas is a little bit different in how they've been bombing. Hamas doesn't have the weapons that Iran has.
No, that's right.
So the Hamas thing
Do they
was,
kill? Do
Yeah.
those weapons kill?
yes,
A lot
but
of people
not
have
as
been-
many, but
A lot
yes,
of
I
people
hear
have been
you.
killed, right?
I think they were more worried about the 27,000 Americans were worried about the nuclear bomb hitting them. That's what I think they were worried
If
about.
I was
Oh.
living in Israel,
Yeah.
I'd been long gone by now.
So who's going to pay for them to come back here? We're supposed to go get them. We're sending teams in.
I
to
thought
pick
they
them
were
up?
trying to pay their way out of there.
Mhm.
Most of them would have the money anyway. So
Check the mirror, y'all. We're going to be paying for it. If they were stupid enough to go into such a volatile part of the world, then let them figure a way to get home. That's what I say. Am I the only one that thinks maybe we should rethink this whole dual citizenship thing? Multiple passports. Pick a country you want to call home. Set up your household there. If you want to have a vacation home somewhere else, no problem. There are ways that can be done in countries that allow it without being citizens. Do Americans with so-called dual citizenship get to vote in 2 countries? Can you vote in the United States and in Ireland if you get dual citizenship? You certainly can't be a resident of North Carolina, have a vacation home in Myrtle Beach, and vote anywhere other than North Carolina.
What do you-
If Iran continues to threaten the safety of Americans in this country, even if it's with threats, then we should send a few more B-2s to take our military out those military barracks in Iran. We should blow up their headquarters, all of them. If they continue threatening anything with American that we house, that we're there.
Right.
You threaten us. If you threaten America, death to Americans, then guess what we should do? We should make sure you're not able to carry out that threat.
Exactly.
If you're going to drive down my street and start throwing things at me and threatening me, it's not going to fare well for you. That's just the way it is. Yes, there are going to be a lot of people to die in a situation like that. That's on the Ayatollah Khomeini. For Mr. Netanyahu, I suggest that he not bite off more than the Israelis can chew. What are you looking at?
Nothing.
Another bug?
You must have the windows cracked. You do. We have got Charlie calling.
Those are some of my questions that I have, my observations, my concerns, and my disappointments. I'm at a point which is really strange for me that I feel the U.S. has bent over backwards, offering to help one time too many. And those we're trying to help, I'm disappointed with them. The surprise is that I'm not so disappointed in Donald Trump. It's all the idiot players on all sides that we have reached out with a helping hand. They are the ones disappointing me. I don't think we should do it anymore. We should put our efforts to returning those who aren't here legally, keeping all who try to enter this nation illegally from getting in, and killing without mercy or even a pause every member of the drug cartels and every coyote engaged in human trafficking at every level without due process. What? Oh, that thing?
If he falls on my head.
What the heck is he doing this? Oh, well, we'll get him in a minute. Charlie, what's up?
So I'm going to ask all 3 of you guys one quick question, then I'm going to get off the line.
okay.
Who do you think tweeted or X'd out this exact statement? We don't need an investigation to know that the NYPD is racist, anti-queer, and a major threat to public safety. Who do you think said that?
What year was it said?
No, I'm just asking you. Okay, so once again, we don't need an investigation to know that the NYPD is racist, anti-queer, and a major threat to public safety. If you had to guess who said that, who would you say?
I would say-
you don't know what you're talking about.
AOC.
Yeah, that was my first thought.
So the person that said that is there's a 99, actually it's probably 100% chance Zohran Kwame Mamdini is going to be the next mayor.
Oh yeah, I saw that. He
New York.
crushed
Yeah.
Como.
He beat out Andrew Cuomo. He's 33 years old.
Yes.
He's a Democratic socialist.
Mhm.
Now it's kind of funny, and I've been reading a few other things. Remember, he's a radical, in my opinion, Muslim. Behind closed doors, you're going to say, you know what, Charlie, we're not going to put up with this kind of behavior on our show.
Mhm.
In my opinion, I may be wrong. I do believe behind closed doors that the Muslim religion, you could say, Charlie, we're going to hang up on you. I think that they want everybody in society in our world to adhere to their laws, to their religion. So think about it. 24 years ago, the Muslims, they killed 2,753 people on 9/11. Now a Muslim socialist is probably going to win. He's going to be the mayor of New York City. These young people, and this is what I don't get. I called into another show earlier, and you know I respect you guys, and I'm talking about you guys. I don't get it. Most of the Democrats in New York, a lot of Jews, the Muslims hate the Jews. It's a fact. There's no unity. I don't get. There's a really good chance this person is going to become the next mayor of New York City. This is a radical, and young people are going to vote for this guy. He wants free everything, free bus fare. He wants to eliminate. I think he wants rent control and everything. It's really bizarre. Anyway, so I'm just going to leave that with you guys. I'm going to watch your show. Maybe I'll go back later. I don't want to interrupt the flow. What you guys got going
Okay,
on?
good. Well, I want to ask you one question though. Just as you're talking about, as you just put it, let's just suppose that the individuals on 9/11, you mentioned the Muslims, right? Let's just suppose that the individuals on 9/11 were Buddhist, were Southern Baptist.
Not Buddhists, Muslims. Yeah.
I said suppose. Suppose they were
Okay.
Buddhists, suppose they were Catholic, suppose they were Southern Baptist. Would you say that the Baptists killed 3,000 people on 9/11?
100%. Yeah, no. I think collectively these people on 9/11, I don't want to speak out of turn because I don't embarrass myself, but I think that the people that were responsible for 9/11, they're all from the same religious background. I believe they were. And I genuinely think that they hate the United States of America. And I think there's a group of people that genuinely hate this country.
Mhm.
And I think it's really bizarre. This guy, he's a radical individual. But he beat out Andrew Cuomo. Cuomo's a goofball. We already know that. Wasn't he responsible for like the whole COVID thing in New York where elderly people died in these homes and there to die? I think he may have had some sort of sexual thing going on. I would rather have him in office than this guy. There's one guy left. Do you guys know who Curtis? I think his name is Sleewell. Do you know that name?
Yeah, and he's the Guardian Angels guy. Yes.
Right. So he's been around probably since like 1986 or 1987.
Mhm.
You know, a lot of people write him off as a radical. I think he did a lot of good things and, you know, trying to protect New Yorkers in the subways. Maybe he's not the most articulate individual in the world. He might be the only chance for people to rally around him because I don't think there's another prominent individual. These people are radicals. I mean, I'm going to call in again. I'm going to educate myself a little more. In London, I think like 5 or 6 of the major towns there, they're Muslim leaders, even though they only represent 3% of the population. I saw something recently about Muslims in Times Square. There were like tens of thousands of them bowing to Mecca. Now, I'm saying, listen, if you love your religion, that's great. I don't believe in religion at all, and you can say, well, Charlie, you're anti-whatever. But I'm telling you, I think this is a dangerous precedent if this person, becomes mayor. Anyway, I'm going to hang up because I don't want to embarrass myself like I always do. So I'll talk to you guys later.
Thank you, Charlie. I don't want to blame a religious sect, the whole religious group, for the actions of 19 individuals on 9/11, or 25, or 100 individuals on 9/11. No more than I would blame. What was Ruth, whatever the guy was that went into the church in South Carolina?
Oh yeah, Dylan Roof, I think.
Something like that. Whatever. What was his religious faith?
It wasn't.
Was he Baptist or Methodist?
Yeah, something. But I don't want to blame his.
But wasn't it
religious.
a Baptist church he went in?
I
Where
don't
did he
know which
go?
one. Yeah, I don't want to blame his religious faith on what he did. He was a radical nut,
Well,
regardless of his religious beliefs.
the guy that whose name the guy that just won the primary
Mhm.
for mayor. Well, first of all, Cuomo was never going to get it based on they're tarnished. Like they need to get out of politics. I mean, they just do after all the nonsense they've been involved in. But AOC and Bernie Sanders both back that guy that won the Democratic primary.
Uh-huh.
But I also think Curtis Silva does have a great presence in New York City,
Mhm.
and he's very well respected. I think, but the problem is you've got more Democrats living there than Republicans.
It's a matter of math.
Yes. Now, unless this guy's views are so anti whatever that it's going to cause some Democrats to vote against him.
Mhm.
And a lot can happen between now and their little, I guess, main election in November. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But if this guy does, I mean, I've heard him speak. He spoke last week at something. He's got some really radical ideas.
Sure.
If he does become mayor, New York City is going to get even worse than it already is. It's going to be bad.
No
And I
reason
feel
for
bad
me
for
to go
anybody
there.
that wants to travel there because I
No
would never
reason for
go.
me to go there now
No,
or
not
then.
at all. And that means now when I drive to
Listen.
Boston, I'm going to have to go a whole different route.
Listen, New Bern is too far north for me.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at the weather and our number if you want to join us this morning. Let's see, we have any today. We got Dr. Rose in about 15 minutes, 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
So we'll get over that. Get to that very quickly. Offshore today out to 20 nautical miles, still pretty smooth and still really hot. Southwesterly winds 5 to 10 knot, seas about 2 feet every 8 seconds. That's a Kelly kind of weather. Sounds and rivers a light chop tomorrow. Southwesterly winds 10 to 15 knot, seas 2 to 3 feet every 4 seconds. They're getting closer together. Sounds and rivers a moderate chop. And on Friday, nice smooth sailing, 2 to 3 footers out of the sky and winds out of the southwest at 10 knots. Sounds and rivers a light chop.
Today, mostly sunny and hot, high of 98 with our heat index value 110. That puts us under a heat warning. Tonight, partly cloudy, low of 72. Tomorrow, sunny, high of 92, hot. Heat index values are a little bit lower as they're down to 101. That's still hot. Tomorrow night, mostly clear, a low of 73. And on Friday, Sunday, a high of 92. That's still just
44-year-old Anthony Street. Oh, God.
Never heard of him.
Kelly, yeah, you have. Lee needs to get back in here. 44-year-old Anthony Street was arrested last week by the North Carolina,
I know exactly who you're talking
by the North Carolina Bureau of Investigation. He was charged with communicating threats to a state legislator. Mr. Street is former candidate for state auditor and is charged with threatening
Twice.
to kill state lawmakers over a proposed shrimp trawling ban. Under a $25,000 bond, Street made his first appearance in a Brunswick County court Monday. Street was the Republican nominee for the state auditor's position in 2020, losing to incumbent Democrat Beth Wood, a very controversial figure herself, by fewer than 100,000 votes. That's not overly close.
She won at 50.88%.
Yeah.
He lost by 49.12%.
He
That's how
lost by
close.
100,000 votes.
That's how close it was. as far as-
100,000
Yeah.
votes. He ran for the Republican nomination to be state auditor in 2024, finished 5th out of 6 candidates with 11% of the vote.
Yep.
Here's where things happen. Social media posts from Street reportedly indicated he was upset over proposed legislation that would ban shrimp trawling in inland waters and within a half mile of the shore. In Facebook posts, supposedly from Street, he wrote, 41 senators in Raleigh need to understand what happened to Melissa Hortman and John Huffman in Minnesota can happen here in North Carolina.
Not a good thing
In
to
case you
say.
don't know or don't recall, both of those people were murdered.
Mhm.
The commercial fishermen of North Carolina, he say, pray God will bless Bill Raybon and the other 40 state senators who have voted to end our way of life. Be warned now, you deserve to lose your lives. I
You got to be some kind of dumb to do that.
Was
I'm just
shocked
saying.
when I heard it,
Yeah.
when I read it.
You. I've known Anthony since 2020
I barely remember Street. He appeared here on Live and Local when he was running for office.
twice. Yeah.
Best as I recall, he was a soft-spoken, reasonable sounding guy.
Very respectful, very soft and
All of this
southern.
mess surprises me. Maybe it shouldn't. Commercial and recreational fishermen alike are passionate about their livelihoods and their way of life, their God-given way of life, as they will tell you. The trawling ban will have a tremendous impact on the shrimping industry, especially. And if it stands, it will have an impact on those of us who like fresh North Carolina seafood, especially shrimp. It's going to cost more. A lesson here. Y'all, words matter. Before hitting that post or send button on whatever you're typing, especially if you're feeling really mad, shaking mad, you might want to put that on hold for a day. Take a second look after you've had breakfast tomorrow. If still in doubt, let a calm, cool, and collected friend give it the once over. You can't call that thing back when you hit go, dude.
No.
You
cannot.
can't pull the bullet back when you pull the trigger,
No.
okay?
Not
No.
good. Not good.
It is what it is, and now you're going to have to pay the consequences. You can rest assured you are going to pay consequences. Mr. Street, this is occurring at a critical time in your life. You're 44.
I first met Anthony back in 2020 when he threw his hat in the ring to run for North Carolina State Auditor. He's very Southern speaking, very polite, extremely respectful, but quiet individual. As far as campaigning, like you said, he won the primary in 2020, lost the general election. In 2024, he tried it again, lost the primary. But Anthony spent very little money on his campaign. He took out loans and used a loan and put it in his campaign finance, but used very little of it. He would take his old pickup truck and go county to county. There's 100 counties in North Carolina.
Yep.
And he would go county to county to county just to show up at every single political event there was and stand at the door. And he had made up little flyers using his computer at home, and he would just sit there and pass it out. I have to give him kudos for that.
I don't have a problem with that.
You know,
Grassroots, go for it.
yeah, and you never saw a sign. He did no political signs.
Mm-hmm.
He just went to event after event. He must have put thousands and thousands of miles on that old truck of his. But we're Facebook friends too, so I've seen when he's come out with a few things here or there. But when I read that yesterday, I was like, oh, that was dumb. But he's also got some other issues facing him right now. I told you his campaign finance account is still open with the State Board of Elections.
He's not going to have to worry about that problem.
And in 2024, they fined him $2,500 in July for being 10 days late on his second quarter report. Well, he in turn went and filed a certificate of inactive status to keep his account inactive so he wouldn't have to do reports and stuff on it. And evidently the state did not honor that and kept it open because of the $2,500 fine
Sure.
that he owed for being late on
He's
a
got to
report.
clear it out.
Well, third quarter came, fourth quarter came of 2024,
Now,
and because he hasn't turned in reports, right now he's owing about $15,000 in fines with the state.
well,
It's crazy.
he's probably not going to have to worry about paying those.
Probably
Well,
not
I
wrong
know
with that
dealing with the
statement.
State Board of Elections can be tricky, but to me, if he filed an inactive certificate, they shouldn't be going after him for reports in third and fourth quarter. But I imagine
Well,
the reason why.
if he still hadn't paid the,
Well, that's what I was going to say. The
they
reason
can't close it out, otherwise it'd be null and void, right?
no, they're not closing out. It just puts it in an inactive status. But they didn't do that, even though there's communication back and forth. Because when they sent him the letter, he sent them a letter in return saying, and given his reasons and appealing it, and then they sent him a letter saying, no, you have to have a signed witnessed affidavit in order to appeal this. And I'm going, are y'all serious?
Are you going to say that he shouldn't have to follow the same rules that I would have to follow?
That's not the point. The point is the Board of Elections needs to have one set of rules for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But and I've seen, because I know I'm an account that's in an inactive status, that they honored and did that.
But did that the people in that account still owe money?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I know that for a fact.
Were they trying to pay it?
Well, there's been an argument back and forth for well over a year with the Board of Elections over them saying this, and then they're going like, oh, well, we'll figure it out. And then never, it's just been bad. But hopefully with Mr. DeLuca in there now, things will get worked out. But yeah, but I will say that Anthony makes his living on shrimping. And he shrimps close to shore because he's not got that big of a boat.
Mm-hmm.
And then he does oysters during that season. But that's how he makes his living. So, but he'll be getting free meals soon.
No, they're not free. They're costing us.
It saddens me because I really liked him, but I know he's had some other brushes before.
What do you think about people who are in prison that they should have to pay for their meals? Have to work it off?
Well, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
How are they going to do it, Dr. Rose?
Well, they can work in prison, doing things like you're making license plate, you're working.
License plate.
Just don't pay it. You don't get money. That goes against your account. That goes against how much food you're eating. That kind of stuff. I got no problem with that.
Make soaps.
Yeah, that'd make you. Yeah, there you go, and have your, a little flea market every week.
Yeah.
The inmates flea market. Come on by and get some soap or whatever.
Oh gosh.
Dr. Rosemary Stein, good morning. How are you? Welcome to the world of insanity.
Doing well. I hope you guys are.
We're hot.
It is hot.
It's really hot. Yesterday, officially here at the studio, it was 100 in the afternoon. At Southwest at the same time, it was 102. And that's not the heat index. That's the real honest to goodness mercury temperature.
Yeah, it was 101 at the office.
Yeah. So it's woo. I saw that driving around on my way back to the studio yesterday, and I'm like, it just hit 100 in my truck. I took a picture of it.
Well, I got a question for Dr. Rose.
Go ahead.
Once in a while in the summer.
Dr. Rose, so Guilford and Forsyth have got some measles. Have you got anything there in Alamance or?
No, not that we know of yet. I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it. But pretty concerning, and just make sure that you don't wait until the last moment to vaccinate your children. If they're not vaccinated, it may confer a little bit of immunity, even at the last moment. It's most likely better than not having been vaccinated at all. There are a lot of parents who haven't vaccinated against the measles. And I think this is a good moment to consider it.
Well, it's the beginning of the summer season and school's out and all that sort of good stuff. But, parents might want to start thinking ahead just a little bit, because it could be a last minute rush for parents or for kids to get vaccinated just before school starts again. Because that's when if it gets into a school system, it can spread rapidly, right?
Well, anything, that's why they're called child communicable illnesses, because they spread it fast.
Yeah.
So we're very fortunate that it happened at the end of the school year to at least hopefully get out of the communities and not be there when they go back to school.
Well, Guilford County government put out a list yesterday if you, and they listed addresses and businesses. If you've gone to these places in the last 10 days, you need to go
great.
get checked. There was a lot. Restaurants, stores, the Greensboro airport, and they were very some places that kids go. There was a very long, I got the list sent to me yesterday. It was a very long, detailed list, and they were tracking the movements of those that had tested positive. Where did you go? And they listed every place, addresses, everything. And they said, if you've been to these places, you need to go to your doctor.
I'm not going north of Newbern.
That's going to create a panic.
Oh yeah, like that won't make people panic. Yeah,
Right.
I mean it was
Right up front.
detailed.
Now,
Yeah.
I don't know about that method. I probably would have narrowed it down to where those people might have spent a longer amount of time and been in contact with more people. But all right, I guess that will do it too. Those poor people's doctors are going to be wondering why their phones are ringing off the hook.
Yeah.
Are there any other locations like, I don't know, vacation spots that might be hot right now? And I'm not talking about the weather for things like measles, whether it's in this country or outside this country, places that a lot of North Carolinians may decide to visit this summer. Have you heard of any of that?
No, I haven't. Historically, Mexico has a larger amount of measles. That's where most of our cases come from.
Oh, great.
So there's always that to look for. I did look to see where else the measles was popping up, and I didn't find any more in North Carolina. But that changes from one moment to the other.
Sure.
And people travel, and they don't know that they have it, and they're incubating it. It takes about 10 days of your being, I think 7 to 10 days of you being exposed to it to actually have the symptoms. So, you may not know that you're carrying it, or a person doesn't know they're carrying it, and, they're going to the beach or they're going to visit their grandma, and then the illness goes with them. So just be aware that, places that have a lot of people, if you have a bad immune system or you want to really protect yourself and your family, or one of your family members has a poor immune system, then you probably don't want to be where there are a lot of people if you're going to get anxious about it.
So,
most of us are just not going to get exposed to it, and we're not going to get the disease. And hopefully the immunity that was conferred to us through vaccination as children is going to be able to carry us through. And at this point, I don't advise for people who have been vaccinated to go and get a third vaccine. I don't know if the health department is saying something differently. What you may want to do if you know that you have been exposed is to check those titers to see, first of all, if you have any immunity, and second of all, it will show if you've been exposed recently or in the past.
Well, Dr. Rose, I pulled my list up. Apparently, whoever had it flew in on June 19th, because they've listed the date. They've even got times on here that these people were at these places. So they flew into the airport at 11:30 p.m. They were there till 1:30 a.m. Then they went to Kernersville to the Sleep Inn. They stayed there. Then they went into a McDonald's in Kernersville. Then they went to Greensboro. They went to the Science Center. It's a huge place.
Oh
it's
my
like
gosh.
the Science Center is it's a great place to take your kid. I mean, Dr. Rose knows what I'm talking about. This place is amazing, but that's yikes. They were there from 1:30 to 6:15 p.m. last Friday.
Oh my God.
Then they went to the farmers market in Greensboro. That place is
when
huge.
did they become aware they had this
It must have
measles?
been this week.
Oh, okay.
Then
So
they
it was
went-
after the fact.
Yeah, then
Okay.
I'm assuming now. This is me. I'm making an assumption here. Then they went into Greensboro on last Saturday to the aquatic center. Oh my Lord, they got in the water. Then they went to the party shack, and I don't know what that is. It's on Holden Road. I think it sounds like maybe a party place, like you go have a birthday party or something.
Were these people traveling?
I think they had to have
vacationing in North Carolina.
Yeah.
I
I
think
believe
they
they were.
either went somewhere and vacation and came back sick, or they came here. And I'm not sure. It doesn't say.
Mm.
And they went to
It
Lowe's
sounds more like
Foods.
they were on vacation here, because boy, were they having.
They were going to a lot of good places. They even went to Lowe's Foods last Saturday. They were there from 4:50 to 7:10. My God, what were you doing? But okay. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if they flew in. So either they went somewhere and came back, and then they are not saying, because they're not identifying who these people are. But they went on. They were a lot. I agree. They must have been visiting.
Yes, that's what it sounds like. But I think the people in the specific plane
Mhm.
might want to know, because of all that's recirculated here.
Yeah, I agree.
That sounds like the plane that comes in from Atlanta. I'm aware of that plane, because I take that flight.
Yeah. I mean, they did a lot. Oh, it was a child they were visiting. Okay. Yeah. They came from a whole nother country. What country did they come from?
Mexico.
Let me see. It's not saying. It does not say. They just said they were visiting the area from another country.
Great.
Oh, this is scary. I mean, the science center.
Close the doors.
I mean, there would have been hundreds of people there.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be like going to the aquarium here. It's the
Mm.
science center. This science center is an amazing place. I love that place. I grew up going there. But yikes.
So,
Scary.
other than making sure we are vaccinated, all of us,
I'm not.
you're not. You
I
can't
have
get
no
that.
immunity,
Well,
and I can't get my shot now.
do you have
What
any
do I do,
extra
Dr.
bubble?
Rose?
Do you have
Help
any
me.
extra bubble wrap or anything that we
Yeah.
could put around
What
Kelly?
do I do?
Not worry. Not worry. That's what
Yeah.
you do, because it's far away, and
Yeah.
and these things that can come and go. It does happen. That people are exposed, and we just have to wait and see. But I had the measles. It's not lethal. It's no fun.
I had measles.
Most people get through it just fine. I got it when I was exposed in medical school to a little girl
Really?
who had
Oh,
it,
gosh.
and I didn't know that she had it.
Oh.
I felt terrible, but like I said, I made it through. I didn't have to be hospitalized, and most people don't have to be
Well,
hospitalized.
I mean, I had it, of course, when I was a kid.
Mhm.
So did I.
Had that one
And so,
2-week period of
you
time,
had
and
it.
then I had the chicken pox right after that. It was awful.
Same
I was in the
with me.
hospital for
too.
chicken pox.
Exactly.
I got it the same way.
Dr.
But,
Rose,
if
rubella. What is that?
Measles.
that is very similar to measles, but it's a more lenient, less illness producing type. But the problem with rubella is that if a pregnant woman gets it,
Oh yeah.
her baby will most likely be deformed and have congenital heart problems and suffer a lot of consequences. And it just affects the unborn baby more than almost any other illness can do.
Oh, well, I have the titer for that, and I have a titer for mumps. I actually had the mumps as an adult, got it in Japan. It was rough. I just don't have the measles titer. I'm below the number.
Is rubella also known as red measles?
It's
Y'all making
known as
me
German
itch.
measles.
German measles.
Oh, I'm titered for that. I'm good on that one.
Could you scratch right there for me?
Lee's over here scratching, Dr. Rose. Over here itching.
Every time y'all start this.
Well, this is just scary. I mean, I just feel bad. All those people that they went to places that are very heavily crowded.
Mhm.
Even the grocery store.
That is
Yeah.
true.
It is sad.
Yeah, but they it doesn't sound like they knew, and
No, they didn't. That's just,
yeah.
yeah.
So it is what it is. You
Yeah.
can catch anything from people who travel, and you
And
could have been in that plane.
Have we,
Yeah.
You just have to wait and see it if you've been exposed.
have you seen any reports recently of malaria outbreaks anywhere in North Carolina?
I have not.
I was
have
actually
not
going to ask
read
that.
about
Yeah.
them.
Okay, we have some of the biggest mosquitoes I've ever seen in my life anywhere.
Yeah.
And now
I
you're
got
going to be
bit
itching again.
yesterday. Yeah.
Well, I've been bitten a lot. And,
I don't go out after 4 p.m.
Well, I tell you, malaria is
Just-
rough. I have a coworker
Oh, I had
that
it
was in
as a
El
baby.
Salvador,
I was in
and
the
he
hospital
got it
as
as
a
an adult. It was rough.
Yeah.
So, and got bit by a mosquito.
All right, Dr. Rose, I have a question. With the heat like it is right now, what do parents need to look for in their children from signs of heat symptoms, being overheated due to the heat outside? Or what are some of the symptoms and what do we need to do?
And let's first of all, the most important thing is if it's really hot, don't let your kids go play outside.
Amen.
This is not the time for that when it's this hot. And even when they're inside, the door opens and it's warmer than usual. They need to stay hydrated. They need to make sure that you're telling them the amount. Not, oh, my kid drinks all the time. I get that a lot. But make sure that they're drinking maybe 5, 6 glasses of water or more, so that they keep hydrated. That's a great way to prevent heat stroke. And the other thing is if you get home and you told your child not to be outside, but you suspect that they might be running a fever, they might have very decreased activity, they might say their head is hurting, I feel funny, you touch them and their skin feels warm. All of those are signs that they might have heat exhaustion. Heat stroke is the worst denomination of a heat illness, heat injury. And you want to keep them cool. You want to keep them hydrated. If they don't respond to that, then you want to take them to the hospital. You might need some IV fluids and some treatment.
Yeah, I heard a call
But
yesterday.
the best thing is prevention for any of us that would have heat stroke, heat exhaustion, or injuries. Make sure that your older folks, they get dehydrated more quickly, and children, especially under the age of 5, get dehydrated more quickly and are more prone to heat injuries.
I heard a call yesterday way back from Holly Ridge. There was a call here, I don't know where it was, near Jacksonville, somewhere in Onslow County, about a man suffering from overexposure to heat, I think is the way they put it.
Was he a mailman?
I don't know what he was, but anyway, they were having to dispatch an EMS unit out there. I just don't know how many calls there were because I don't listen that much, but I just happened to be in my Jeep at the time.
It's rough.
This, I'm sure, is probably one of the more common calls at this point in time. Temperature yesterday here was officially 100 degrees, or 101, 102. Heat index was up into the 110s and 12s and 15s. We're going to have more of that today. A little, maybe a degree or two cooler, but that's hot.
Yeah, and some people work outside, and kids, they just, they're not aware of their environment. So they get overheated and they don't know, and they come back inside and they say, I'm feeling really bad.
Yeah, they'll play till they drop.
So just be aware of your kids.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dr. Rose, I have a very quick
And your
question.
pets, by the way.
I had a client last week, a kid, he is 10, was at a local summer camp here last Monday, and they kept those kids outside all day, which I have a massive issue with. But the mom was telling me that when they got home that evening, he just kept vomiting where he'd been out in Indian Swing. He said, well, we've been outside playing all day. I told her she should have taken him to the ER, which she did not do. Should she not have done that? I mean, he was vomiting by this point from being out in the heat. That's what I thought, and she didn't.
Absolutely. First, you take his temperature. You try to give him some little ice chips, and some cool water. I try to bring that, try to rehydrate him, and then take a look at him if he's still vomiting. Anything where you're vomiting 10 or more times, especially a child. Once again, a child and an older person gets dehydrated more quickly than others.
That's what I thought.
You should take them because they might need IV fluids, but you want to know the cause of the vomiting if it's that much of it.
What is this thing with ice chips? I've heard that, and I know that the doctors or nurses and whatever give it to you in the hospital. Why ice chips instead of cold water?
Sometimes I especially say that if you think that somebody might have aspirations or their level of consciousness is a little bit in and out, because it's hard to drown or to aspirate with ice chips. So if you put a little chip in your mouth, okay, and you just keep on doing it. That's why. And if you're running a fever, it will tend to bring the temperature down because you're holding the ice chips in your mouth.
Gotcha. All right. Sounds like
Okay.
I now understand. I was just curious.
Interesting. Very much.
Dr. Rose, thank you. Stay cool, please.
Yeah, stay cool.
I will. I have no intentions of running around outside.
Okay. You take care.
Same.
You guys take care.
You too,
Bye-bye. See you
Dr.
next week.
Rose.
By the way, I forgot to tell y'all at the beginning, and all of y'all out there today, right now, if this is a clothing optional day,
You didn't
y'all
tell
don't
us
have
that.
you don't have to be dressed to listen to the show.
Oh my gosh.
You could be naked in the bathtub.
That was
Just don't let us know. You don't need to comment.
Don't need to send photos. Yeah.
No photos.
Yeah.
But if you need to stay cool, I walked the doggy this morning. I had to change shirts.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's hot out there.
Seriously,
Yeah.
it was soaking wet by the
Yes.
time I got here, and I didn't go as far as I normally
You
would
can
go.
cut the humidity with a knife. It is so
Oh.
bad.
Oh,
That's like usually on my way here in the mornings, I'm having to run the windshield wipers all the way here because of the condensation on the
I had to
windshield.
this morning.
I thought she was steaming up the inside of the truck,
Question for
didn't
you.
you?
No, it's too early. Y'all remember Representative Al Green from Texas? Do you know who that guy is?
Al
The
Green.
Democrat.
Yes.
He's from Texas.
Yeah.
The one that
Not
crazy.
Not that
originally
Green.
when Trump was giving that speech, it got thrown out. Do you remember
Yes.
Yeah, I remember.
that? Okay. Then, he introduced a bill this week to impeach Trump. They had so yesterday. Here's a shock. I'm actually impressed. I have to say, 128 Democrats joined the House GOP to block his bid to include Hakeem Jeffries.
Well, because there's no substantial basis for
I
the
agree. I
impeachment.
agree.
You're
And I
wasting
agree
your
with that.
time and my
Yeah.
money. Okay.
Well, see,
Do
AOC
something.
came out last week and introduced that she was going to do that. And then Elizabeth Warren posted the same words that
Mhm.
AOC did.
Mm.
And I'm like, are y'all serious?
Well, they didn't, because the vote was 344 to 79.
Mm.
But Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, Hakeem
shutting
Jeffries, Catherine Clark, who's the House Minority Whip. She's from Massachusetts, and the House Democratic Caucus Chairman Pete Aguilar all voted against the measure.
Yeah.
So I know Hakeem Jeffries probably ticks him over off. We
I'm
haven't said
sure.
if AOC voted. They didn't say if she. I'm sure she was one of the.
If she was there, sure. We'll have to, that'll be
I'd
interesting.
like to know if she did vote. But with the what I say, 79 voted for it. So maybe she was one of the 79. I don't know.
Very nice.
Yeah,
I think that's
within
hilarious.
hours of news of the bombing in
Mhm.
Iran by the United States, AOC was on Twitter and she was on X and she was tweeting all that. And I'm like,
Again, a rush to judgment,
Exactly.
and people do it so often
Right.
without getting any details,
Right.
no facts, whatever. It's you're a bunch of idiots when you do
the
that.
whole thing has gotten ridiculous over sides arguing about, well, were the nuclear plants actually completely destroyed? And you've got a group saying, no, they weren't, that it was
How do you
minimal
know?
damage. And I love what
How do you
Caroline
know?
Levitt said yesterday.
First of
She
all,
said,
love her.
if you want to know, just go
Yeah.
look yourself.
yeah, check it out.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you.
If you come back and it's green, we know it's still there. We'll send some
Right.
more. No.
These coming from people that have no clue.
Well,
If
yeah.
Iran is making bold statements and saying, well, you didn't get them, ha, ha, ha. Well, you know what's next?
Incoming. Incoming.
Got more.
Did you see yesterday the
Yeah.
vice mayor of that city in LA who put this lady has lost her mind.
Are you talking
California.
about Karen?
No, I'm talking about Cynthia Gonzalez,
Oh.
who went on there. She's a vice mayor of, I think it's Kudai. It's southeast of LA.
They have vice mayors?
Yeah, apparently I didn't know what that was, but yes.
They handled
So
the vice
she
problem.
made, this lady was dumb enough to make a video, which I watched, of her calling on the gangs to rise up against ICE. Name the gangs. She's like, where are you? The 18th Street, the Florencia gangs. Where's your leadership? She
Well-
said, because you guys are all about territory. This is 18th Street. This is Florencia. You guys tag everything up, claiming hood. And now that your hood's being invaded by the biggest gang there is, there ain't a peep out of you.
Listen, Madam Vice Mayor,
She's
let me
lost
explain
it.
something. I'm here from the Department of.
Yeah.
Guess
She
what?
told him to get.
I'm here from DHS, and if one of my men is hurt, one of
That's
my
right.
ladies is hurt, you are going to be arrested for inciting.
Well, the
I would charge her and let her fight it out.
the
in court.
FBI's involved.
That's what I'm talking about.
And they already came to her house, and she's now. So she deleted her original post. You can still see it online because it's there.
Late.
I watched it yesterday, and now she's wanting people to go fund me. She said she needs a lawyer.
Too bad.
You were dumb enough to call the gangs.
You
Here's
have
the
the
thing.
right to remain silent.
You've gotta
Anything you say
wonder
will be used against you. Idiot.
So Homeland Security made a statement last night on their video on their page. But
Well,
FBI's
she's
involved.
speaking in as
She's speaking. As,
representative of her position.
she's speaking.
No,
I don't think so,
You
but
cannot
she,
do that.
yeah, I know you can't, but
I mean,
that's
it
what
would
I'm
not.
asking.
It would not represent.
Did she do
She
it?
has
No.
that. She cannot use that as a defense because that's not a
Well, it's
legitimate
probably the
reason.
only
So
right thing she did.
The city released a statement that says the comments made by the vice mayor reflect her personal views and do not represent the views or
Good.
position of our
Don't
city.
sue us. Sue
The city
her.
will not be providing comment. She ticked off even some Democrats there, and they're like, because, look, say what you want, but even the gang members, some of these, say it like it is, they are well run. They're not dumb enough to go out and do some of that. And why do you think they're stepping back, lady? This woman is a pure fool.
Well, maybe she needs to get up with Anthony and see who his attorney is.
Yeah,
That's
right.
exactly what's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
Make stupid statements like that.
Made a video. How dumb are you?
I mean, about as dumb as Anthony putting it on his personal Facebook.
Yeah, but she did it on her personal Facebook. Yeah, she put it on her personal Facebook.
Yeah, stay off of Facebook.
Mhm.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm tired about hearing about all your medical ailments
Mhm.
and all your
Well,
sad
some people do
life.
it to. Some people do it though to educate. Like I got a client with a really, really, really big family.
Mhm.
So rather than spend, and I don't blame them because I hate talking on the phone. Spend 50 phone calls a day calling
Right.
that one and that one. They put their stuff on Facebook. So everyone can see it.
Well,
and then
I
they kinda-
understand
that's
that.
right.
I'm
So
talking
a lot
about
of
the
people do that.
There's some that I've had to mute for 30 days or more because every day it's like, it's
It's
stuff that
hard.
doesn't need to be on social media. But
I've
I
seen a lot of
understand
stuff that don't need to
exactly.
be on social
Oh, yeah.
media.
Do you
Like,
think
I've
so?
seen a whole
Like
lot.
all your domestic issues.
But people's marital problems and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Keep that mess off social media
Exactly.
because when you
Call
fight
someone
and
who
you post
cares.
something and then you make up, after a while you look silly.
Well, not only that, but if you're constantly putting your marital problems
Yeah.
on Facebook, that tends to make me want to believe that maybe you're the issue with it.
I agree with that too.
I
I mean,
So did you hear about this yesterday? A lightning strike at Lake Murray Public Park in South
Did
Carolina
hear
on
that.
Tuesday
yes.
afternoon hospitalized 18 people,
Whoa.
including 12 children.
Yep.
This was one single strike. The Weather
That's all it
Service
takes.
says. Yeah. Lexington County Park Information Officer Vanessa Diaz told WYFF-TV that the strike occurred around 5 p.m. near the beach side of Lake Murray Dam. Of the 20 individuals injured, 18 were taken to local hospitals with the nature of their injuries not yet disclosed. 2 others were treated and released. Starts lightning, you need to go inside. Take cover.
Well, I'll tell you, right in the middle when the storm gets overhead and you've got all the rain and stuff coming down, the chances of getting hit by lightning then are chances for that storm who's out there on the horizon and it's nice and clear where you are and those clouds are slowly moving your way even before it starts raining.
I just knew
the
yesterday.
lightning and zip down and grab you.
taking that trip to Holly Ridge yesterday, and I saw the clouds building. I'm like, I know what's going to happen.
That lightning bolt will come down there and it'll take you up into the oblivion.
Yes, yes.
I got a call from News and Observer back in the 70s, and I did freelance work for them too. And I had to go somewhere, I don't know where it was, 30, 40, 50 miles from here to get a photograph. Why? Because lightning had hit a silo where one of those feed silos.
Yeah.
When I got there, there was enough beef on the ground. It killed, I don't know, I want to say a dozen cows were laid out there around this silo.
Yeah.
Where lightning hit it, and they were all up there feeding at the time that it hit the silo.
Did your pictures turn out grainy?
Oh, that was not nice at all. Okay, ladies, I'm so sorry for both of you. My condolences.
Okay.
What now?
I don't know. Just
From the world of bubblegum pop music in the 1960s and 70s came a youngster named Bobby Sherman.
Oh, yeah, I saw that
He
yesterday.
had
I
a number
saw
of hit
that.
songs like Little Woman and Julie, Do You Love Me? He's passed away. He had cancer. Honored as the number 8 in TV Guide's TV's 25 Greatest Teen Idols back in the day. He maintained his persona as a squeaky clean young star, had 2 short-run television hits, Here Come the Brides and Getting Together. Here's an interesting sidebar that I did not know about Sherman. After his stint in the limelight, which is generally short-lived in the bubblegum area, right? Sherman became a certified medical emergency technician and instructor for the Los Angeles Police Department, teaching police recruits first aid and CPR. He didn't keep any money. He donated his salary. Sherman was studying child psychology at a community college in 1964 when his girlfriend took him to a Hollywood party. He had been singing in a local band, and then he stepped on stage that evening to sing with the band that was playing for the evening. Afterward, guest Jane Fonda, Natalie Wood, and Sal Mineo. You know who 2 of those are. You don't know who
Sal
Mineo was.
Mineo.
I do too. Asked him who his agent was. They took his number, and a few days later, an agent called him and set him up with Shindig. Remember that on TV?
Yeah,
Bobby Sherman dead
Yes.
at 81. Sal Mineo, I saw him in some movie. He played I think he played an Indian on the big screen. And I saw that, and I saw him in a couple movies as a kid. That was a long time ago. And then, he was killed. He was stabbed to death. He was mugged and killed.
Really?
Yeah.
I
So-
know that.
Anyway, just some points of trivia there.
Wow.
Okay, 910-333-0139. Want to weigh in on whatever we're squeaking about this
You know,
morning?
we've had quite a few artists pass away over the last month, singers, and look at the Ann Burrell from the Food Network that died
hers was a
suddenly
drug
50,
overdose.
55 or something.
at 55 years of age.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah,
know who she was, but that's all right.
She's
yeah,
on Food Network.
yeah.
I know who she
I've
was.
watched her some. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
familiar. I'm just not big on watching the Food Network because then I want to cook and I go out and buy all this stuff to try to cook like they do, and it never turns out the same. So.
Well, do you remember when I brought up Monday the guy who, the creepo who did the little wedding with the little girl?
Yeah, with a
Yeah.
9-year-old.
Well, first of all, I got his picture. This is what he looks like.
More to the story.
Oh, there's a whole lot more of the story. That's him.
He needs a new
Okay.
hamultiple
He's,
for sure.
Yeah.
So he
That's a
he has been convicted in Britain of multiple sexual offenses, and now he's been wanted in Britain for failing to comply with the obligations of the British Sex Offenders Registry. So this idiot has done crap like this before, not to this level. I mean, what a dummy. But so
That little girl got saved.
yes.
But no thanks to
She
Mama.
needs to be taken away from the mama. But in 2016, he was jailed till 2020 on 4 counts of sexual activity with two 15-year-olds because he lied and told them he was a film producer and made videos with them, which he wasn't. Then they found out he'd been driving around in a town with a Range Rover, picking up school children, plying them with alcohol, and then taking them to, quote, parties. You figure that one out for yourself. So in 2024, he pled guilty to some kind of weird breach of a sexual harm prevention order. But then he staged some kind of fake film shoot that those charges were related to something he did in 2023 in London, where 200 children and young women were recruited to make some video with him. And then in 2024, he hired child actors. This guy is a psycho. Somebody do something about him. So he did that. He's even done a fake funeral. Sick. Oh, and he's filmed himself naked in front of these kids. And oh my God. So anyway, so this wedding, he said it was fake, but it was psycho. And the Disneyland people, it really, he had a whole ceremony. They had a whole production of it. And the Disneyland people are, mom is claiming, I wanted to organize a day worthy of a princess for my daughter. They need to take this kid from this woman. Yep. Bottom line. And
she needs to be
charged.
He
was trying to broadcast this on social media. And when Disneyland saw that it was an actual kid, they flipped their lid, canceled the wedding. They even had people in the audience, children and adults. I mean, this was sick. And the French people have him in jail under some kind of like fraud. I think they just found something they could hold him with till the British police are on their way to get him out of France. Because
it's never too hot for a blanket party.
Yeah, I hear you.
With some gorilla tape.
Yeah. So France got him for like fraud and some other stuff. And I think honestly that they decided they were going to charge him with something to hold him while the British police got there. I need
to pull up that stuff with a metal baseball bat again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pardon the pun. That could ring well in his case, couldn't it?
But I mean, when you read the article, the comments,
no pun intended.
There's a lot of people wanting to go deal with this dude. Just read in the comments.
Sure. Well, I got one for you, Kelly.
Oh,
long ride on a short pier.
Talk about scammers.
Okay,
we deal with them every day, don't we?
Yeah.
This is in Salisbury, North Carolina. I love pulling up the North Carolina news because we're never lacking. Carrying his tool bag with the same bald head and beard from when he was last seen, John Jackson walked into a Salisbury home last month to collect cash and repair a refrigerator. I love what the homeowner says. Well, our refrigerator was not working properly. The eggs were freezing and the vegetables were freezing. Can you freeze an egg?
Yeah.
Really?
Charles Williford said,
don't they do it all the time with women?
You know what? I'm about ready to go take a break here.
That was
bad. That was bad, Rayford. Charles Williford said he did as anyone else would do. He searched online for a repairman. The results brought him to a man who claimed to be Jay Jackson.
Okay.
This guy's got a history of this. So he came in and gave us an estimate, something like $300. Somehow, in the 15 minutes that Jackson was there, Williford says the quote went up to $490 with the promise of a military discount later. As for the check, instead of Jay Jackson, he wanted us to write it to John Jackson, which at the time I was starting to think, I'm really too old to be this dumb. But I did it anyway. So it didn't take long for Williford and his wife Rita to realize that something just didn't smell right. And it wasn't the eggs or the vegetables.
They were frozen.
He said they called the bank to cancel the check. He had left their house and went straight to the bank and cashed it.
Of course.
So anyway, He said the homeowner said that their fridge repair that was done, he took that off and replaced a part that circulates the air, so the refrigerator is working. But the whole point of it is the guy's scamming them for like a very inexpensive part. But in 2020, after dozens of reports on Jackson's habit of taking money for repair jobs he never completed, a judge banned him permanently from advertising or doing business in the state and ordered him to pay more than $100,000 in civil penalties and restitution. Bing! But he's back at it, y'all. So John J. Jackson. John J. Jackson, remember that
Maybe
name?
I've got a little issue over here with my refrigerator. Maybe I should call him.
Go ahead and call
Gino's
this
Because
guy.
I could
Yeah.
have some fun. We could put
could
some
do a
cameras up in
story-
here.
Yes.
Oh, Lord, live stream it.
Anybody knows John J. Jackson out
Give
of
us his
Salisbury,
telephone
North
number.
Carolina?
Give us his number.
Yeah,
you know?
give us his number.
Oh, God help him. Is
But just how can people continue to do that and get away with
that
it?
like hunting on a baited field?
$100,000 silver.
Me.
They'll never see that money.
No.
Never.
Do you remember when was this? It was in California. When did this happen? Earlier this month. Okay. Do you remember that California fertility clinic got bombed? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yep, yep,
Okay. And the bomber died right almost at the scene.
Yeah.
No, at the scene. Like this is recently.
Oh, that one.
This
Okay,
one,
I'm
like
sorry.
from like a month ago or earlier this month or whenever it was. But he had an accomplice. So the bomber died. I think he blew himself up in
Yes.
it or whatever he did.
They're generally not real bright.
Yeah, I know. Well, he had an accomplice, and the accomplice's name was Daniel Park, and he had been taken into federal custody. Well, he has died in federal custody.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Doesn't say how.
I saw
I don't know if
that.
anybody
and I was
cares.
like,
Heart attack.
uh-oh.
And he's 32. He's from Washington State because he was charged with conspiracy to manufacture an unregistered device and terrorism. It took place in May 17th in Palm Springs. I knew it was recently. And the debris field covered 250 yards. Is that far? Sounds like a lot, is it?
Football field is 100 yards long.
Gotcha. Okay, it is.
I guarantee they're going to find out that it was an overdose.
In the jail? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The bomber blew himself up. He was 25. And this guy went to Europe after the bombing, but we caught up with him and arrested him and brought him back in federal custody. Well, he had 180 pounds of ammonium nitrate. It's a lot.
That's a lot.
It's a whole
Gotta do
lot.
the job.
Yeah. Oh, and then he got an additional 90 pounds, which, oh, wow. How do you just buy that? You just call somebody up and go,
Yeah,
I wanna buy
I'm
some
a
ammonium
farmer and I
nitrate.
need it for my farms because that's what they use it for a lot.
I would think that would be,
You would have to report everybody. I mean, everybody farming time, they buy it in quantities, and then they'll stockpile it until they can get enough. Well, this is
oh my God, let me tell you why. Oh, I just read this. Rayford, you cannot make this stuff up. The guy that blew himself up bombing it, and then this guy who died in custody, who cares why, they followed a pro-mortalism, anti-natalism, and anti-pro-life ideology. Let me say, they believed people should not be born without their consent, and non-existence is best. Apparently, there's a chat room dedicated to people who think like this. What? You cannot make this stuff up. Wow. Okay. That just blew my mind. You go ahead and talk now because my mind's
retroactive
blown.
abortion.
I just
Y'all need to
Yeah.
understand what that is.
Yeah. I just can't.
Uncle Sam, the military branches of Uncle Sam, they're bringing significantly more domestic violence cases against service members to court. An increasing share of senior ranking officers with convictions skyrocketing in a surge tied to a major overhaul of how serious crimes are prosecuted in the ranks. I don't think there's any indication there are any more domestic violence cases, well, not cases, incidents They're not saying that. They've always been there.
Mhm.
There are peaks there sometimes, and then they become more obvious at times. But the military has been inside the military. It's one of those things they handle without prosecuting cases a lot. We know that.
Okay.
But now they're deciding it's time to take this to the next level. And they're going after senior people too, senior officers, because they've skated a lot,
Mm-hmm.
apparently, according to the
my
military.
Lord. What is?
This is after years and years of fights in Congress with advocates insisting that crimes were being overlooked, opponents arguing that potential changes would undermine commanders, culminating in a revamping of the system passed by lawmakers as part of an annual defense policy bill in 2022. Congress wanted changes, and they wanted people that were committing such crimes, those crimes not to be swept under the rug. And the upper echelon, they were claiming, I remember hearing like this years ago. We can't go after, the colonel. My God, what kind of message would that send?
I
we
would say so.
need the colonel.
Mm-hmm.
We need the captain. We need these people.
Right.
If we go after them, we don't have so many of them. What are we going to do then? Well, that message might be, if you did go after them, for those people down in the lower ranks, good God, if they can go after a colonel, what chance do I have if I get out here and I'm the fool?
Because
None.
you're nobody.
So anyway,
Well,
anyway.
tell that to the two North Carolina Highway Patrol officers that just got fired by the state Highway Patrol. And this evolved in December when one of the troopers observed a young man doing 70 in a 40-mile-an-hour zone and started pursuing him, but yet he failed to call dispatch and tell them that he was in pursuit. And the young man ended up crashing his car. And prior to the crash, the trooper turned off his blue lights and drove up on it. And when his superior officer got there, he told the superior officer that he had not called in the chase to dispatch. And the superior officer said, well, don't say anything to the Raleigh policemen that were on their way to investigate, since it was there in their jurisdiction. And of course, all that was caught on body cam. And so they were placed on administrative leave right away. It's Charlie again. And the Highway Patrol just has released them for their actions. So, and the gentleman that they were chasing died in that accident. So.
Chases are awful, but the first thing you want to do is you want two things. When you get involved in a chase, you key your microphone up.
Yep.
You can hear the siren going, right? So there's never a question as to whether you had your siren going. When you call in, I'm in pursuit of, yada, 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 and in the background is woo, 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 woo. You hear all of that stuff happening. It's all recorded back at the dispatch center. So that's to safeguard your own backside. And of course, is to generally get other people en route to assist you.
Well, you want to know
what you want.
The worst thing about this story is there's about 180 cases involving these two Highway Patrol officers, past cases now, mostly DWI incidents, citing concerns about their credibility. That'll probably be thrown.
Yep, unless they got other officers involved.
Stupid.
Good morning. Is this Sam here this morning? Is this
Sam? Hey, Sam.
This is West Coast Sam, right?
Hey, I'm going to ask you guys a question. I was away for the last 45 minutes, and I think Lee posted something about the shrimp ban, about I guess the shrimp trawling. I don't want to regress back to that. Is it really that big of a deal? I mean, why? Who's against collecting shrimp off the coast of North Carolina? Aren't there billions or millions of shrimp?
Let me explain to you how this whole shrimping thing works. Shrimp trawls, they have them that go, shrimp are on the bottom, right? They have these things that go along the bottom. It's called a net, and it's got little doors on it that keeps it down on the bottom, and you drag it behind the boat for a while, and you collect anything and everything on the bottom there where you're shrimping. You catch shrimp, you catch other species of fish, you catch all sorts of stuff, and crabs and whatever. Some of the stuff you can save and use as a bycatch, they call it. Like the crabs, they're okay. But you're catching little baby fish, baby flounders, baby this, baby that, in these shrimp trawls. And they are thrown overboard. They're tossed. They're just dead. It's just nothing but a waste, total waste. Those little critters don't have a chance to grow up and become big critters and become other food for other people. The shrimping may have gotten a bit out of hand, according to the North Carolina legislature. I got pros and cons about this whole deal, and they're not killing shrimp trawling. It's within a half mile of the shoreline.
Yeah.
Near shore is what they call marsh areas, estuarine waters. Those are places where life begins in the salt waters. And when you're trawling up near that, you're getting a whole lot of little critters that will not grow up and add to our to the whole seafood industry. That's one of the problems.
Price of shrimp is just going up.
No, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day. She's a vegan. And we were talking about how chickens are killed. I guess they snap their necks in half. They talk about how cows are killed. They're like electrocuted. And the horrible things that happen. And we were talking about how in Vietnam, dogs are being eaten. I just think that, first of all, I had a spider in my garage apartment the other day. I literally put it in a little plastic bag and I put it outside because I didn't want to kill it. It's just bizarre that they're putting so much emphasis on these, these innocent shrimp. But it's funny how we kill so many other animals for human consumption.
It's not the emphasis on the shrimp. It's the emphasis on the other things that die along with catching the shrimp. It's okay to catch the shrimp, but they're catching other stuff, and it's.
But why? Can I ask you a question? Why is it okay to catch the shrimp?
Because somebody wants to eat it.
That's how a lot of our fishermen make their wages. That's how they.
Yeah, but why they catch them is because people buy them.
Right.
People want to eat them. You got something about
the same way that farmers make money off their cows and their chickens and their pigs. Yeah. It's just I don't know. It's just.
Okay. Now, let me give you the other. Now, if you go out there and you've got a bunch of chickens and you just wantonly start shooting and chopping heads off, and you kill a whole bunch of other critters. I don't know, like little birds that might be hanging out with the chickens or whatever. That's got nothing to do with the chicken. Is that okay?
When you put it that way, no, it's not okay. But it's also not okay to kill the chicken for our fun, for us to enjoy that meal. So all of it is hypocritical, in my opinion.
Okay,
I'm a hypocrite. I'm an absolute hypocrite.
All right.
I love fried chicken.
I do too.
I love steak, and I love shrimp.
Hey, have you ever heard? I just saw this while I was sitting here while Charlie was talking. A judge in Florida, Miami.
Mm-hmm.
So yesterday, a guy had been convicted of murder. He was the mastermind. I'm sorry, he didn't do it. He masterminded the plot. And the jury had recommended him the death penalty. Mm-hmm. The judge overturned it and said, why should he get it if the ones that pulled the trigger and the other accomplices got lesser sentences?
Irrelevant in the judge's case. That judge should not have that right to make that call.
Well, the judge reversed it.
He is tried and he's convicted and he's sentenced based upon his actions, not the actions of the other individuals. Nothing about what the other people did should play into what occurs with this guy.
So the judge says instead of the death penalty, you're getting life in prison. Because she's saying that he masterminded, but he didn't actually commit it.
That judge needs to go back to
it's
judge
a female
school.
Judge.
She needs to go back to realism
so
school.
So she said, I'm throwing out the jury's death penalty recommendation and giving you life in prison. Wow. And that's what she did.
Wow.
I've never heard of that.
Some judicial discretion needs to be removed.
Kelly, that brings to mind, have you been following some of the statements that are being put out by prosecution, the DA in Canton, Massachusetts?
I followed what the foreman said.
Yes.
The foreman went on Today's show, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and flat out said from the moment she walked in that courtroom, we start hearing evidence. He said, Karen Reed is innocent.
Right.
He
Well, listen.
I don't know who killed, but somebody did.
DA put out a statement, and all he said was the jury has spoken.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. The Canton Board, which is like their city council,
Okay.
put out a statement, never even mentioning Keith, the officer that died, but just saying that, this is what the jury said, and we all need to quit fighting and blah. It was stupid, but never once mentioned the death of John and Keith. But the prosecutor that was hired by the Commonwealth, and they paid over $1 million to bring this guy in to lose. He put out a scathing presser yesterday, and
I saw some of it.
it was really bad. And for a lawyer, a prosecutor, he went beyond the realms of unethical behavior, and I could not believe. Maybe you can bring it up, Hank Brennan.
Hank Brennan. Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on.
And it was just, he more or less said in his statement, she's guilty, she's a murderer, and she would have never gotten off if it hadn't been for the community supporting her and witness intimidation and all this. I mean, I'm just like, are we a little upset we lost? Are we upset we could not prove the charges?
He said, after an independent, thorough review of all the evidence, I conclude the evidence led to one person and only one person. Neither the closed federal investigation nor my independent review led me to identify any other possible suspect or person responsible in the death of John O'Keefe. He said the campaign of intimidation abuse that has been waged, funded, and promoted on the public and social media is an antithesis of justice. If this type of conduct becomes commonplace, it will threaten the integrity of our judicial system, affecting both victims and the criminally accused. Now, the foreman flat out said none of the evidence at all showed that she did it.
That's right.
He said, and the evidence didn't even show that he was even hit by a car.
Exactly.
And that's what the foreman said.
Because the medical examiner, the doctor who did the autopsy, I mean, all of them said he had no injuries.
What was the cause of death?
The cause of death was a gash on the back of his head.
So he did have injuries.
Yeah, but nothing below, nothing other than that, except for a few scratches
and being out in the cold.
And being out in the cold.
On the snow.
But he didn't die of hypothermia, though. But yet the prosecution is claiming he laid out in temperatures 20-something degrees for 6 hours.
Then he would have been already dead before they put him on the snow.
But he had no evidence of hypothermia.
So what is the cause of death?
The gash in the back of the
gash
head.
in the
So
back
he
of his
did
head.
have an injury. He was killed.
Yes, but
Okay.
we're saying that they proved, science proved it, doctors have said
And
it,
the
they
jury
all
said
said
it.
there is no way he was hit.
He
by
was
a
not
car.
hit by the car. They're maintaining she ran him over with the car.
So she didn't hit him with a car. She got out and beat him with a hammer.
No.
Offshore out to
Yes.
20 nautical miles, still pretty smooth, and it's still hot out there. Southwesterly winds today, 5 to 10 knots, seas only 2 feet. Sounds and rivers a light chop tomorrow. Southwesterly winds 10 to 15, seas 2 to 3. Sounds and rivers a moderate chop, and pretty much the same thing on Friday. 10-knot winds out of the southwest, seas 2 to 3. Sounds and rivers a light chop.
Today, mostly sunny and hot, high of 98. Heat index value as high as 110. Tonight, partly cloudy, low of 72. Tomorrow, sunny, hot, high of 92, 101 heat index value, so less. Tomorrow night, mostly clear, low of 73. And on Friday, sunny, high of 92. And who knows what the heat index is.
And Redford, you said yesterday that your truck was showing 100.
100.
Mine was showing 99. But do you notice that you start off in Holly Ridge, it was like 96, 97. As you're coming closer to Jacksonville, it keeps rising.
My office was 101
It was crazy.
at 5 o'clock.
Okay, we'll
We
go
were
back to
laughing
the West Coast. Charlie.
Hey, so guys, this is my last call today. I literally watched less than 20 seconds of the Karen Reed situation. From my understanding, something about they accused her of like backing into a police officer. I really don't care. Something about her, and I Googled the word nefarious. Nefarious means criminal, evil, malicious, and wicked.
Right.
I guess she was acquitted. She wasn't found guilty. And there was like this celebration that her attorneys had and she had. If I was involved in that situation, there would be something inside of me that would be like, I hold my head low in shame. This is horrific that happened to this human being. There's something off about this woman. I don't trust this woman. You know, I feel sorry for that guy's family, his loved ones, his wife. I'm not sure he was married, but my gut says she's probably not an innocent little person. And I'll just leave it at that. So maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I disagree with you. I
I
think she's
disagree
100% innocent.
I think it was a few police officers that went way overboard.
If
with
I was found not
finding
guilty,
evidence.
as she was,
Mhm.
when I walked out of the courtroom, and with as much publicity as this trial had garnished, I would say, okay, now it doesn't stop here. Someone killed him because you just told
She
me
did.
She did say that.
because someone did kill him, right?
Mhm.
Someone killed him. They gash in the back of his head. He either was run over by a car or bumped by a car or knocked over or whatever and hit his head. Somehow an individual did it unless he slipped on ice.
Exactly.
Now,
Exactly.
why then it's upon you guys out there, the investigators, to find whoever did it, because a jury of my peers said I did not do it.
12 jurors said that they believed her innocent.
And
And
that
part of it was because
No, they can't believe she's innocent.
they believe they have spoken.
They said
publicly
she was
They-
innocent.
saying
they
she
cannot
was
say
innocent.
she's innocent.
Well, they
A
did,
ju-
Rayford.
Hush
They
for a
did.
minute, please. A jury cannot proclaim you innocent. Individual jurors,
That's
and
what
their
I'm talking
own
about.
personal opinions can
Right.
say that.
Yes.
Has got nothing to do with a jury.
okay,
Right.
well, they found her not guilty,
Right.
and the guy
That
went on
doesn't mean
TV
she's
and
innocent.
said, "I think she's 100% innocent."
Doesn't
and I
mean
think,
she's innocent. What a jury finds.
Why would you say that?
A jury cannot find you innocent.
Oh, I know
There's
what
no
you're
such
saying.
rendering of a
It's
verdict.
either guilty or not guilty. But
Yes.
what we're saying is that different jurors have come out publicly saying that they
They
said
are not jurors. They're ex-jurors. They are
Correct.
only a juror
True.
while they're on a jury. A
Right.
jury found her not guilty.
Mhm.
A juror cannot say that. Once they're gone, they're done. They're nothing. They're has-beens.
okay, well,
Right.
the former jurors
Ex-jurors.
the foreman,
Former
the former
jurors
juror
have
foreman.
come out and done
Yeah.
interviews and said that they went in there with an open mind, but the evidence and the problem with finding out what did happen to him will never be known because
what?
of the police investigation.
Thomas Austin is right. Thomas, you are 100% spot on when he wrote the other suspects are cops. 100%. Those cops' text messages where they were talking about
Mhm.
looking, how long does the body take to die in the snow and all kinds of stuff.
That was Jim McCabe that
yeah.
did that. Yeah.
And texting each other. I think they got mad at. I think he was at that party,
Yeah, he went in the house.
and they got rid of the dog because he was bit by the dog. They
Mhm.
sold the house. They stripped the carpet. I think he was killed in that house, whether purposely or maybe they got in a fight and he
It
hit
was
his
an
head.
accident.
And accidental, but instead they didn't like her, and that was well known that they
Right.
didn't like her. And they put him on. They knew that she had left because there's video of her leaving. They
Right,
see
yeah.
her dropping him off at
And
the
there's
house.
a witness that saw her sitting by herself in her vehicle.
Yeah, and they all that's on video. Like you can't
Mhm.
dispute a video. And then I think that he went into the party. Supposedly, I think he was in that house. They were having that party, which they all said they were having the party. I think something happened, whether they intentionally killed him or it was accidental. And instead of doing whatever, they did the opposite of maybe this whatever happened, but they put him on that stone.
Well,
If they
there
hadn't
was
all
one-
got rid of their cell phones,
They did.
all of them did.
Before the
Yeah.
protection, where there was an order for them to turn it in, their phones in on a certain date.
Yep.
And before that date, they went and destroyed their
And we're
phones.
talking like 7 or 8 of them. I mean,
Yes.
it's not like,
it was.
I mean,
bad,
this is
Rayford.
just, if you,
It's
you
bad.
know, and if
Now-
they hadn't have done a lot of this stuff, maybe she would have been, but I don't think she did it. I'll never think she did it. And I think that, but you're never going to, now if I were the one cop got fired.
Yes, the lead investigator got
Yeah.
fired by the Massachusetts State Police.
Because from the first trial, because remember this is her second trial for this.
Right.
Because the first trial ended in a hung jury.
Well, the first trial, they went on the premise, defending her on the premise of a third party, which they could never really prove because
Well, I do
all
think
the
there was-
evidence had been destroyed.
Yeah.
But when they went back this time, they went back on the reasonable doubt theory, which all the witnesses, even witnesses for the prosecution, when they got up there and they were cross-examined, they admitted, we don't know how he died. He was not hit by a car. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, their witnesses are saying this.
Because
so-
because the prosecutor has maintained she hit him with the car, but they proved in the second trial he wasn't hit by the car.
Well, you've got a police officer also that witnessed when they went to pick up her car for, to put it into evidence, that her taillight was only cracked. But yet when they got into the Sally Port by the next day, the whole taillight was missing. And there was like 47 pieces found over a period of 2 to 3 weeks in the yard. That people would drive by and go, oh, look, there's a taillight piece. It was the same investigator every time they found it.
And that's one reason why he got.
And he kept evidence in his patrol car, like his clothes, for over 2 weeks
I know,
before
what
he
an
even
idiot.
turned it in.
And the bad thing about it, these guys made cops look so.
Yeah,
they have
it's
tarnished the Massachusetts police
Question
mentality.
for you now.
Yeah.
The telephones, that they all destroyed their telephones.
Yes.
And they admitted to it.
You do know that all the records that are on those phones are at the phone headquarters.
Which is
right?
how they know.
Okay, so them getting rid of their phones is irrelevant, right?
Well, the
Well-
actual texts between them were not. They're
They're-
gone.
No.
Yeah, the texts are
The
gone.
texts
should
are
be
gone.
That's
They
what
could-
they said. They had
They- yeah.
experts come out and say
The FBI got
depends.
involved.
It depends on your provider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Verizon, I can't remember which one, but there's some providers that do not save those,
Yeah.
and there's some providers that do. Like I think they said AT&T is good for 5 years or something like
Yeah,
that.
but whatever
Verizon's
was-
not.
The text messages were not saved, but they could tell, they knew, they had the timestamp. Rayford texted Kelly. Rayford
Yeah.
texted,
Correct.
they all texted each other at these, there was like a big mass text, 2 a.m. that night. They were all doing whatever. One
Well,
of
no,
them,
Kelly, those were all butt dials.
they claimed they were all butt dialing.
There was
each
over
other.
a dozen
There was a lot.
butt dials between them all during the night.
Uh-huh.
And one guy said, oh, I must have rolled over while I was having fun with my wife in bed and in butt dialed by accident. The whole
Idiots.
thing,
Idiots. All of them.
they'll never find out what happened to this
No,
man.
they're never gonna. That man's killer will never, or killers will never be caught.
The only thing, I would almost say that he could have slipped and fell in the yard and hit his head, except for the marks on his arm is so obvious, and they had medical experts testify those were dog scratches and bites.
Was the dog outside or in the house?
The dog was in the house, but the dog disappeared by
They got rid
morning.
of the dog, and they said they got rid of the dog. It was a German Shepherd.
They rehomed it, but the
Mhm.
next morning that dog was already gone from that house.
Yeah.
They took it
So
out.
if the dog wasn't in the yard, then he would have. That goes like I said, he was in the house
Mhm.
because they know he had dog bites or scratches, whatever
Yeah,
they, call it.
they
They got rid of the. They sold the house. They stripped the carpet. They got rid of the dog. They all got rid of their phones.
Whose house was it?
The cops.
It belonged to
One
a
of the police
Boston
officers.
police officer.
A police
A
officer?
police
Yes.
officer.
And so they is he.
Yes.
Got rid of
Let
all
me
this
tell you,
stuff.
Rayford, that's like I was telling you. This allegedly happened 12:30, 1 o'clock, somewhere in that time
Mhm.
frame. By 5:30, 6 o'clock, his body was discovered on the lawn by his girlfriend and some other women that went looking for him because they knew something was wrong.
Where were they during the party?
They weren't at the party.
They were at the party, but they had left and gone home. But the girlfriend had dropped him off. She was mad at him for going in there, and he never came back out. So she went home.
What
And-
happened? No, let me back up, Lee. Him and the girlfriend and some friends were at a restaurant and a bar.
Two
They-
different bars.
bar hopping.
Mm-hmm.
Him and her and this other guy, she and him got in a little tiff. She dropped him. The police were having a party at the house.
Mhm.
She dropped him off at the house. She left. She didn't go in the house.
Mhm.
We don't know what happened when she dropped him off.
They're
but
thinking that he went into
I
the
think
garage
I'm telling you,
door.
I think he went in the house.
But the thing about it is the house, it was just a continuation. Come over, let's have some more drinks.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And there's a history with one cop who's an ATF agent who liked the guy's girlfriend and blah, blah, blah. And earlier they'd had some words at one of the bars. But what got me was the man that owned the house, he's a Boston police officer, which the officer that got killed or died was a Boston police officer too.
They all work together.
Now, at 6 o'clock in the morning, they have all these ambulances come up, fire trucks, police cars. The whole scene is just a yard is full of people. The girlfriend is screaming about her boyfriend. And the cop that lived in the house never once came out of the house to see what was going on. And you know what he said on an interview the other night? Well, I'm a Boston cop. This was a Canton cops thing, and I didn't want to get involved. But me personally, he goes, what was I supposed to do? Run outside in my underwear and put up caution tape?
You put a pair of pants on, you go, hey, what's going on in my damn front yard?
My kitchen's open. I've got coffee on.
Yeah.
If you guys need anything.
He's too busy cleaning up the
they
evidence.
never once even went into the house or investigated to make sure that the people in the house were alive and okay.
Yep, never did.
Never did.
Guilty.
Rayford,
All
there's so
of them.
much about this case that you would be appalled as a former law
They
enforcement
make
officer.
cops look bad.
What they did. And see, the FBI got into investigating the investigation and the investigators. That's what they're in. And the DAs put out word, oh, the FBI thing is closed. No, it's not.
No, and FBI has found a lot.
And see, they have also tied some of these same cops into the Sandra Birchmore murder.
Yeah. Oh, they got a mess on their hands. The FBI went in. One of the reasons that her defense team got some of the evidence they did was they got it from the FBI. The FBI started investigating all of it, and no one's ever going to get pinned for this guy's murder unless one of them breaks ranks and confesses that, hey, Rayford did it that night. You're never going to, I feel bad for his family. You're never going to know, but I do not think it was her. It was one of them. And if the cops are in my yard, I'm going to go out and find out why.
Well, it could be very simple that maybe they got into a shoving match. He fell backwards and hit his head. Or it could be that the dog attacked him. He left the house, went out to the yard, was reeling from that, slipped and fell and hit his head.
Drinking. Agreed. But either way, they'd all been drinking.
What was the blood alcohol content?
They never
checked it.
They never checked it.
At the autopsy, they didn't?
No.
Oh,
They
of course
did
they
not.
did.
No, they
No,
said
they
they did.
testified they
wasn't
did
revealed.
not.
They testified they did not test it.
What medical examiner does not do that?
A bunch of bumbling boobs. All of them. The cop collecting, taking a leaf blower out there and blowing evidence all over the yard.
Rayford,
putting
had
it in a
you
solo cup.
seen-
You would have died, Rayford.
Had
would have
you
had a
seen-
fit.
And it's just like the police. Kelly Devers, police officer with Canton Police Department.
Yep.
They called her in to work dispatch that night because of the blizzard. So she came in off the road. She worked all night long. She worked the next day shift and went into overtime there. After they brought Karen's car into the Sally Port, which was a huge conflict to begin with, but they did. She said she noticed the police chief, not the police chief, but the assistant police chief, and one of the detectives in the garage for what she termed a wildly amount of time. And they were all around the back end of this girl's SUV where the taillight was supposedly completely knocked out. And she testified to that in the first trial. So when they brought her in today and the defense called her in because the prosecution wouldn't, the defense brought her in and suddenly she's changed her story to that was a bad memory. It was, what did she call it? I'll have to look it up.
She
It's
basically implied that her recollection was
remembered
not
wrong.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so a false
another-
memory.
yeah,
A false
she's another
memory is what
idiot.
she called it. But that was only after, and see, she went from being a Canton police officer, she's only been a police officer a couple of years, now to Boston PD as an investigator working a Monday through Friday job. 9 to 5, and her salary like tripled. Not saying it had anything to do with anything, but the commissioner had called her in about her testimony and told her to do the right thing. So now she's completely changed her testimony and said it was a false memory. Do you believe?
Did she say that the commissioner told her to do the right thing?
Yes, she
Yes.
did.
Mhm.
And she also said on the stand that what she says on the stand matters as to whether she'll keep her job or not.
She testified to that.
No lie.
Mhm.
And the
Was the commissioner or anybody else asked about that?
no, not that I don't know, not that I know, but
Not
she
on the
just
stand?
she just testified on the stand that that the commissioner told her she needed to do the right thing, and that evidently
I find it strange that the prosecutor at that point in time would not call, or the defense, but either one of them called the guy who supposedly told her this, as she says told her this, and say, talk to me.
oh, he
Did
could
he-
just very well said, I told her to be honest and do the right thing.
Mhm.
But how do you have a false memory?
And
See,
she'd been a cop for a year or two.
A couple years.
Well, let me tell you who she told that she saw two key figures. It was the FBI
She told
that
the
she
FBI
told
this.
in an interview.
Mhm.
The two, the chief and whoever were near the car.
Mhm.
That's how they knew that she had said it. The FBI had a whole report when they were investigating.
Do you have any idea how many young cops they see things and they see it in a different light, and they're not exactly
Well,
sure. I'm just saying.
yeah, but
Well, I'm
seriously.
just saying,
find it
I
hard
know
to
you think
believe.
that cops can't commit crimes,
No, I did
Rayford,
not
but
say
I'm here
that.
to tell you that they can.
I can tell you that I've found that before, but
If Rayford-
but when you put a lot of things like, okay, well, she said this at this point in time, people say certain stupid stuff, and young cops particularly are just vulnerable for doing things like that.
I think she was young and inexperienced and didn't
Yes.
realize what she was actually putting the heat on some other cops, is what I think. But the problem was,
But she testified in the
was-
first trial that
Yeah.
she put her hand on that Bible, raised her hand, and
and
said,
told the FBI
"I saw
the
that
same
police
story.
chief, and I saw that other guy, the ATF guy, behind that car." So
And they
then
were
the
there for
second
quite a
trial,
while.
and they were there
What is for quite a while? Did anybody ask
She
you?
said
Nobody
a
asked.
wildly amount of
wildly
time.
amount of
I
time. I
did not
know.
go into detail.
3
They
minutes,
never asked
5
her.
minutes?
She said
No
she
one asked
felt
her.
like it was very strange and unusual.
Yeah, she said it was strange.
But
and
see,
unusual.
there's lots of parts of the
That's a
camera
terrible
video.
trial. If this is the kind of evidence that, I'm glad I wasn't watching it, because this is a
you
shoddy
would have
trial.
lost it.
There-
It's a shoddy trial,
Rayford,
very
you would have been
shoddy.
so mad.
because you can't pin it down. You've got to pin people down.
It should have
Bottom
never
line.
gone to trial to begin with, in my opinion.
Well,
Well,
based
you
on
can't
the
put blood
evidence.
in a solo cup and then carry it around your evidence. Your
Sit it in a locker
you
with no
sat in a
cover
locker
for
with
2
no
weeks.
cover for 2 weeks. You drove around with some bloody something in the back seat of
His
your car for
clothes.
2 weeks. I mean, look.
You can run blood. You can run tests on blood a long
Yes,
time
but
after
the
the fact.
problem is, in a trial, when there's no securing of the evidence, you're going to raise that doubt of, did somebody tamper with it between the time you collect it and the time you
Well,
finally turn
they
it
had
in?
video.
That's a different story. But
They had a
the
picture
stuff itself.
of her Lexus in the garage,
Mhm.
and that bag of blood with a cloth laying on the floor, not meaning that it was, but it was sitting there at the back of her Lexus on the floor.
Mhm.
Now, what was that doing there? And another thing is, the first trial, when that one Sergeant Buchanan was testifying as to the video that was taken from the garage camera, did not even realize the whole video was inverted. As the defense got looking at it and realized that the video was inverted, and said to him on the stand, "Do you know this video is inverted?" He's like,
What
No.
do you mean inverted?
in other words, when her car's in the garage and it showed people standing at the back of it, it appears they're standing back at the left side. They weren't. They were actually on the right side. The whole video was inverted. So they found that out, but it was while they were on trial. The defense realized it and they started questioning. But there was a whole bunch of pieces of the video at different times of the day or
Then who
night
did that?
that were missing.
Who did they narrow down who recorded this video?
They don't really have, they can't say, because the lead investigator who got fired was the one that went to the police department, got the video put on a thumb drive, but kept it for quite a while before he turned it in to his office.
Where's the original video?
There is no original video. It all
It
disappeared.
disappeared, Rayford, along with everybody's other evidence.
See, that's what I'm saying, Rayford. There's no way in this world that I would have found her guilty, because there's so much reasonable doubt. And the whole thing started with a bad investigation.
See, what y'all are not understanding, where I want somebody held accountable.
Right.
If it's a bad investigation, if there are bad cops involved, whether they kill this dude, whether they covered up him falling down there in a drunken
Right.
brawl, or whether everybody
Right.
was drunk. Or, where's the blood alcohol test on the victim?
None.
Other cops should have been tested for blood alcohol the
Sure.
morning after, because it's still there. It does not dissipate overnight.
Sure.
You know that, right?
Right.
If they're let's just say they're at a .04 at 6 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? They were at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
It- where's the rest? Where's the photographic evidence?
They took no pictures of the body before they moved it. They took no pictures of the broken taillight at all when they picked up the vehicle, when they put it in the Sally Port. No one took any pictures of the broken taillight. All they
You
have
want
is
to bet?
the testimony of a police officer from another town that was called in to assist picking it up. All they have is his testimony saying, it had a little crack. It was not like this. But nobody took pictures. Isn't that strange?
I bet you they did.
I bet you they did too, but I bet you'll never know.
Somebody one of
Strange.
these days is going to break when they
That's why I think one of them's
when enough pressure
Yeah.
is put on the weakest person there.
Yeah.
But it's not over. The FBI's not through with it.
Right.
the
right.
FBI. Oh yeah, FBI is
Well, a lot
all
of
about
players
it.
in this, like I was saying, are players in the Sandra Birchmore case. And that's where the case of the young woman that was in the police, the junior police or whatever, and started having relationships with several of the officers, and then became pregnant. I think she's 20. She was in her 20s.
Yeah, she was young.
And became pregnant, and then suddenly committed suicide, and come to find out that the investigation was showing suicide, but further investigation showed now that she was actually murdered. And come to find out, the guy that's been accused of murdering her, the police officer, they ran tests on her pregnancy on the fetus. It wasn't even his baby. Tommy.
Idiots. I just
Drama, Charlie, drama internally.
I wish you'd seen it, Rayford.
No, I couldn't watch something like that.
You would have gone.
I don't do
off.
soap operas. Okay. Hey, Charlie.
Oh my gosh.
So I promise this will be my last call because I know you
Me
guys
too,
are involved
because
here.
we're
Obviously,
close.
Yeah. That thing is-
what's that?
Obviously, because we're going to close the show here in a minute. Go ahead.
Right. So I have great respect for Kelly. I respect her opinion. Who knows? Maybe someday I'm going to be trying to jump off a bridge. I'm going to call her. Lee, I respect you. But Rayford, I think that you and I can both agree when it comes to this case. Like I said, I don't really know all the facts. My gut says that this Karen Reed person is probably guilty of murder. I'm going to leave
I
it there.
doubt that seriously, but I don't want to tell these two ladies that. I don't think she's guilty of
Hold on, so-
murder. She
hold on.
might be
Do you
guilty of some
think that-
indiscretions.
Do you think that she's completely innocent?
There's no such thing, but of being guilty of murder in this case, I haven't heard enough presented to even indict her. Yes, to find out what's going on here. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's go into the other room. Then I would separate everybody in there who was ever there. I would
Exactly.
separate them, and them and me would be having a conversation,
Which they never
one
did.
at a time. And then I will be lying to every one of them about what the other person said about them.
Exactly right.
I'm
Rayford.
sorry, cops can do that.
Rayford, if you investigated this, we would have known who killed this man. Or
I
what
don't
happened
know
to
that
him.
he was killed. He died of something.
Yes, you're
Now,
right.
what was going on in the party is what's the question. Is so whether some other bad things that were happening there. What kind of things were cleaned up? Was there any bleach used in the house?
They never went in the house to
See,
investigate.
there's a problem. Okay, but anyway, that's Charlie. Yeah, no, there's no such thing as her being totally innocent. I don't know that. I'm reasonably sure she's not guilty of
She
murder,
did.
or it would have been a clear-cut case.
She did cop and accept it driving under the influence,
Well,
even
we
though
know
they
she's guilty of
could
that.
have beat that
Maybe.
because they didn't take the blood alcohol test until 9 o'clock the next morning, which she could have gone home and drank more.
Did she say that?
She didn't say anything because
You
she
know,
was
I
in
think
such a
I think
state
that's a
at the
lame
time.
excuse to say that she went home and drank more. I think that there's probably more to this. I think she's basically covering up. My guess is she's not an innocent little kitten, a little butterfly, little puppy in the story.
I think this was a typical out of control event that was.
Everybody was drunk.
There have been other cases resulted in the death of a Wilmington police officer at an after hours party.
Mm-hmm.
He left the party and drove his car into a creek. Not intentionally, he missed a curve. And he
So,
died.
hey, Rayford, I'm going to hang up. Can I ask you one last question?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that she was less than truthful about all the facts?
I don't think she told the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. As did
There you
probably,
go. Have a good day.
as probably
Bye.
no one there.
Only thing I've got to say is Charlie, being that he has a lot of time on his hands, sit back and go back and watch the second trial. Watch the first one. Watch the second. I will say that
It's a soap opera. The whole thing is a soap opera. It was a messed up event.
it made national news and it gained national attention and
It's a soap
recognition.
opera.
But the whole thing,
Worse than the OJ trial.
if the cops had done their job,
Mhm.
they had done their job, this whole thing would have ended differently. But you would be so
I wonder
mad.
why the medical examiner cannot tell me what the cause of death was.
She said the cause of death was a fracture on his skull,
Mhm.
and she believed it was from falling. They had a brain surgeon come in and said that he believed that he died from the fall.
fall. Was it a fall that caused the crack in the head?
Yes, that's what they testified to. He fell. How he
In
fell,
the snow?
They don't know.
They don't know.
I mean, what did the medical examiner say?
Said it was a fall, but
was a
she
fall.
cannot testify if it was due to the ground or if it was something somewhere else.
What was embedded in the wound?
There was nothing embedded in the wound. They
And-
found no grass. They found no dirt.
And there was a blizzard.
It was snow in there, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
at the time, they said that the snow wasn't that bad that you could see cat tracks in the snow. That became a big joke in the trial, cat tracks. The whole thing is, Rayford, it's sad that somebody lost their life and nobody will ever know what happened.
No, I agree with that. I just find it hard to believe there wasn't any signs of hypothermia. He was in snow. It's cold.
It's
It's ice.
supposedly, but the snow plow driver came by at 3:30 that morning, came by twice, and he said there was nobody laying
Yeah.
there.
He testified to that.
He testified to that.
Yeah.
He came by there twice. He said, and then at one point during the night, a vehicle appeared there
Mhm.
in the spot next to where his body was found. But they never investigated it.
On this date in June 25th of 1876,
Go with it.
Native American forces led by Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull, they took on the U.S. Army troops. About, 2,000 of those Native American troops and 200 men led by Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer. He was not a general at this point in time. He was a general in the Civil War. People keep calling him general. He was a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army in 1876, and he led his troops into an ambush.
Wait a minute. Back up. First of all, I didn't know it took place this time of year. I don't know why I thought it was later in the year.
It was hot.
Did you say he was a general in the Civil War?
Yeah.
So were they demote him? Because
He didn't fight for the U.S. government in the Civil War.
who'd he fought for?
Well, the other government. The
Oh,
South.
never mind. I'm having a moment. Gotcha.
God.
You're right. I'm still.
Like, whoa.
I just got a phone call from work that's got me all discombobulated. But okay. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
That makes sense.
At,
now.
at the Battle of the Little Bighorn, which I'm still trying to figure out, what is a Little Bighorn?
I think it's an area.
I know where it is. I mean, what is it?
Not even
How
gonna
do you get the
argue.
name the Little Bighorn? Anyway, near southern Montana's Little Bighorn River.
Mm-hmm. That's a river. I didn't know that.
Curious.
Yeah,
Huh.
near it.
But I didn't.
Anyway, so
I thought it was later in the year.
Well,
It
it wasn't. It was this date.
Did not know that. I
According
just
to
learned
history.
something.
Now, maybe history's wrong. Maybe they just got it
No.
all messed up there in the Karen Reed trial.
No, I think you're right. Rayford, I tell you what.
Never like fact.
You better
That's
glad
a
I don't
good
have
story.
gadget arms.
I'm just, if you ever get bored and have nothing to do, you just need to
No, because Rayford will
research
flip
it.
out over.
You'll
it.
flip out. I was
I know he
appalled.
will. Yeah.
I would not sit through a trial like that. I wouldn't even want to be there in person.
It was so bad. I mean,
if you've gotten this far,
it's like
if you've gotten this far without adequate investigation,
Mhm.
I don't even know why you have a trial.
That's why I said they should have never gone to trial. There was no proof.
Well,
there was no proof.
there was proof. There was a problem with the investigation, and that's what I would be investigating.
Exactly.
And if it was a cover up, I doubt very seriously if the guy was murdered. To be honest with you, based upon the
Exactly.
information, I don't believe it was an intentional act. Yes, he probably died because of an act of stupidity.
Mhm.
Those are generally not illegal, but some of them can be. If you're involved in a fight and it's an exchange of blows, if somebody falls, hits their head, yes, it can be
I
charged as
guarantee
manslaughter.
I guarantee you, Ernie Lee would have never taken it to
Not
trial.
these cases. All right, we got to go. Tomorrow,
Tomorrow.
we're going to be hamming it up a little bit in here about 7:30 in the morning.
Yes, we are.
We're going to be talking with, you ever heard, do you know the actor Randolph Scott?
Isn't that George?
Cowboy Scott, cowboy movie, cowboy actor way back in the 30s and stuff.
No, I
You ever
don't.
heard the Statler Brothers?
Yeah, I know who
Yes.
the Statler Brothers are.
You ever
Yeah.
heard the song, Whatever Happened to Randolph Scott?
No.
Oh, for God's sakes.
You know, like,
No.
Anyway, we're going to
Yeah.
be talking with Randolph Scott in the morning. Well, I have
Cool.
found him. I know where he is.
does he know the Statler brothers?
He's living right here in Jacksonville.
No way.
Absolutely. So we're going to be talking with him tomorrow morning about
Okay.
amateur radio.
no relation to the other Randolph Scott, right?
Why are you questioning me?
Because now we're
Because
we're
Kelly's
concerned.
like, oh.
You ever heard of Jay Silverheels?
No.
You ever heard of Tonto on the Lone
Yeah.
Ranger?
Yes.
Played by?
Jay Silverheels.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that
Is
either.
he
He's
coming in?
His
coming
son.
too?
His son is living in Wilmington. Silverheel's son is living
I
in
know it
Wilmington.
don't matter. I like making him mad.
Yeah,
Bye,
that
guys.
can be bad.
Have a great day.
Bye. We'll see you in the morning. You're live at Local Real Talk, where we're sort of awake, never woke. Bye.